are watching right now. I am Maude Garrett, and you are joined by Trisha Hirschberger. You could be watching live on her channel. You can be watching this on Geek Bomb's channel. Whatever you're watching, subscribe and follow the other one. We are talking about all things playing, watching, and reading today, but we are at the watching section. This includes movies and TV shows. And to kick this off, we've got Amy, Cassandra Martinez from Geek Bomb, who's going to give us the latest in news. So we're going to call this one, what is it? What's going off?
What's going off? Amy?
What's going on?
Guys, perhaps one of the biggest piece of news that I've been really excited about. John Krasinski has been meeting with Marvel. That alone, I feel like we should take some time and appreciate how exciting this is. Yeah, I feel like we all, especially lately, you know, with this quarantine going on, we've all been watching, at least some of us have been watching some good news. John Krasinski has been doing that every Friday. He's actually even getting some people to partake in prom, virtual prom.
Yeah, because they're missing out on their senior prom, yeah.
Yeah. So when people found out that he's been talking to Marvel, obviously fan casting had to happen. So we took
I already know.
Yeah, well, a lot of people said Reed Richards.
Yeah.
Hector Navarro actually said Nova, which is that pick right there at the bottom left. Okay. So a lot of Reed Richards.
Do you know?
That's basically what we got.
Do you know why it's going to be Reed Richards? Because Emily, his wife, is going to be Sue Storm. Like, when someone suggested that, I think it was last year, I was like, I can't see anything else now. It has to be. Like, that's just perfect. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So tell me about this character that he's going to play. Tell me about, it's Reed Richards, right?
So it's Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four.
So
we were supposed to have like another, trilogy almost with the Fantastic Four that came out by Josh Trank. Mm-hmm. But he just, Josh tanked himself by not making a good movie, pissing a lot of executives off. Apparently his dog caused like $200,000 worth of damage into the hotel room alone. Like, it was a bunch of things to make even Star Wars be like, you know what? We're bowing out. You were supposed to do a standalone film for us. No, that's not happening anymore. Which sucks because I really liked what he did with Chronicle, which was kind of like his big debut into filmmaking. But that's when we had, I don't even know, Miles Teller was Richard Reed, and what's her name? I can see her face, but I cannot tell you her name. She has a sister, Mara, Kate Mara. Kate Mara.
There we go.
Was
Sue
Storm.
Tell us, chat.
And it just wasn't hitting. Michael B. Jordan, though, was the Human Torch. Like, they kind of was like, even though he's Sue Storm's brother, they were like, what? Why is he black? Oh, you can't do this. It's like, well, yeah, they just made him adopted and it works again. It's all great. And he was good in it, but unfortunately, yeah, the movie was awful.
Yeah.
So I think they're trying to do it again, but better this time.
And within the greater MCU.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah. Which
That's
will
the
totally
exciting
help.
part.
That's
Yeah.
exciting. Thank you for that news, Amy.
Of course.
Yay.
There's not much movie news, obviously, because we are still in this awful quarantine lockdown, and almost a recession's going to happen. It's affected the movie industry by billions of dollars so far and counting. So it'll be so interesting to see where we go with it all. But Trisha, what are you currently watching?
What am I currently watching? That is a great question. I am currently watching two different things, and I know you're going to talk a lot about Money Heist, so I will hold off on that so that we can talk about that together. But I also checked out the Tiger King after show episode.
Oh, I didn't, with Joel McHale. What was that like?
Yeah, it's only one episode, so you can get through it pretty quick. And it's pretty obvious that there's no overall director, producer guiding people on maybe what to and what not to say, which is why it's such a train wreck to watch, I think. But Joel McHale as a host, like, kudos, because he's like keeping it together no matter what crazy stuff everyone's saying. The one takeaway is that pretty much everyone that he talks to from the series hates Joe Exotic. Like, nobody has nice things to say. So it's very interesting. There's like one person that's like pseudo sympathetic, I guess you could maybe say, but for the most part, nah. And it's just fascinating to watch these people in their home environments, like not being filmed at the zoo, like being filmed at their own place, and like being able to say whatever they want because they're just, I think, in the comfort of your own house, talking on a phone to Joel McHale seems a lot less intimidating, maybe, than, you know, than having like a whole camera crew around you, and people are just very honest, and it is nuts.
I'm guessing you saw all of Tiger King already because we spoke about it in our premiere episode, but I want to know from you, who do you think got it the worst? Do you think the guy who was trying to run the political campaign, who's obviously an intelligent man and had to like try and get Joe Exotic, like reel him in, and then had Joe Exotic's husband shoot himself in front of him as a joke, and he had to kind of live through watching someone incidentally commit suicide? Or was it the poor man who not only had his arm ripped off just tending to the tigers, but then also was referred to as a woman the entire documentary, even though he has stated many times that he identifies as a man?
Yeah.
Who I believe is the smartest person on the show, because his commentary over everything was just like they were switched on and just got it. So who do you think had it worse?
I don't know. They both had it real bad. or I mean, Carole King's husband, who probably got murdered and fed to tigers. Like you like, I don't know. The tigers are the biggest losers, says STS2884 in Twitch chat, and I could not agree more. Yes, totally. It's just, it's such a hot train wreck. But if you've watched the entire Tiger King series, I feel like the icing on the cake is Joel McHale's after show episode. So give it a go. I recommend it.
All right, I do. I have to watch that. I don't know. You know how like I found by episode 2 I was so intrigued. By episode 3 it just kept like snowballing into this disaster that I couldn't like look away from. By the end I kind of just felt sad.
Yeah.
So
I felt sad the whole time.
Back into it. Yeah.
I felt sad the whole time that like Nate, my husband, just kept being like, "What?" as he's watching it. He just kept audibly exclaiming, "What?" And he was like, "These are real people." Like, that it's a thing that everyone should experience.
That was my reaction, the whole time as well. But if you want a really, really cool show, I am so new to this series. It's called Money Heist. Mm-hmm. It is a Spanish language film, sorry, not a film, TV show that is in the heist genre. And what is super interesting is that heist genre is usually only for movies, because you have the team, you establish who the team is and what everyone's role is, you have the objective, and then you see it unfold. And there's usually a really, really clever way that it happens where like, you know, it's never straightforward and there's a lot of deception and all that kind of stuff. What's really interesting, though, is that they've decided to expand it into a TV series. And I love that they've done that, because you learn more and more about these characters every episode. You start to wonder if their loyalty is really to each other, because they don't know their names or identities. They only have a code name, which is a place, you know, Tokyo or Berlin, you know, it's a place around the world that is your code name. Some of them get along better than others. You start to see other people's like true intentions, and there's a guy who's like borderline psychotic. But their whole heist job is to overtake this mint and then get the police force off their back a little bit so that they can spend an entire night and half a day printing money. And then while this is happening, they need to kind of like have an exit strategy from that. I think the acting is brilliant. The concept is amazing. And I haven't seen all first 2 seasons yet, but it all takes place in this one location, and it's super gripping. And I forget whether it's dubbed or that it wasn't English, and you can watch it subbed or dubbed. Trish, you've been watching this as well, you're saying?
Yeah, I'm about halfway through the first season. And I didn't know you could watch it subbed or dubbed. We've been watching it dubbed. And I believe it's Spanish was the original language, I believe. But yeah, it is gripping and fascinating. And normally this is the kind of series that I would probably shy away from a little bit, because I'm not super into like gangster or crime movies. They don't really do it for me. But I do think, like you said, it's the interplay between the people involved in the heist that are what makes this series so interesting. So I've been really liking it, and I like the way that it unfolds. I like the way the storytelling happens. And you said it was originally a movie mod that they're now turning into a TV show?
I think the concept could have been a movie, but they've just decided to use it as a television show. It's got 4 seasons. They call them chapters. They call them something else. But there's 4 of those, and they've actually been expanded for 5 and 6. But the first 2 seasons take place at this Spanish mint, and then they go sort of like off island because, you know, the adventure after what happens continues. But it's kind of interesting seeing the series pivot from something that was so established for 2 whole seasons into a new terrain. A lot of times that doesn't work for a lot of series, and it did see a dip in its Rotten Tomatoes ratings. But the fact that they're going to extend it to 5 and 6 as well, like, I don't know how long a heist concept can necessarily last. So they've had to, I've only seen it because of spoilers and I've watched trailers, but they've replaced some of the cast, and that in being a heist scenario is not a surprise at all. But that'll be, I don't know, I think with all like crime things, there's only so many times that you can kind of keep pulling the wool over the law's eyes until you can get away with it.
Yeah, I thought for sure that it was a movie when I first saw it on my Netflix feed. And then when it said 2 seasons, I was like, oh, okay. So I decided to give it a go. But yeah, we'll see what they do after the, what do you do after the heist is over?
Exactly. You spend the money, but then how can you do that when you can't? I don't know. There's so many variables coming into play. I'm not a potato. How long have I not been a potato for?
Pretty much this whole episode.
Yay. Sorry, my internet. So maybe it's the computer. That's an interesting. Trisha, I am going to call on your tech expertise to figure out what was going on with that.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it in the break, girl.
All right.
We will talk about it in the break. Okay, so yes, Money Heist and the Tiger King after show episode with Joel McHale are things that you might want to watch if you're looking for some watching recommendations. Now we go to Bombs Away.
Yeah.
Yay! Okay, so we do have some questions. So this one is from Geek Bomber Patreon member Zraken75. How long do you think movie theaters will take to bounce back as far as attendance, or will people continue to use streaming such as VOD, Netflix, Amazon, etc.? And he also said, also great to see you both. Been a fan since SourceFed.
Yay!
I know that the cinemas have gone to VOD as a desperate measure. Like usually when you release a movie, you want box office. Like that's where they make the majority of their money back. So the fact that they're going straight to VOD, I don't think they'll make nearly as much as they'd hoped to, especially with this new system where if you want to rent it, it's $19.99. I think that could be off-putting for some because going to the movies and that experience is why you kind of pay a little bit more. So to watch it from the comfort of your room, I think that's why more people are going to go to subscription services like Netflix, etc. So I just don't think they're going to be making that money back. And I think that once movies can go back into cinemas, they will be doing that. I just don't know if there'll be any cinemas left because AMC probably won't be able to bounce back from it financially unless it gets a government or a private backer to bail it out.
You know what? This is such an interesting question. I posed this question kind of to my Twitter feed when we found out Wonder Woman 1984 was being pushed back rather than released as VOD. And while for like a superhero film, yes, you want the digital surround sound, you want the huge screen. There's a lot of films that I honestly am okay with going straight to VOD. I love a movie theater experience as much as anybody out there. However, when you have one or more tiny humans and you have to pay $150 for a babysitter just to go to the movies for the night, you really weigh how cool that movie theater popcorn smell is. So, like, I see people online that are like, $20 to rent a movie at home, screw that. And I'm like, $20? What a steal!
So yeah, to take the whole family is like $60 plus, yeah.
Right, so I think there are going to be some use cases where streaming movies at home, like a portion of the consumer base is really going to like having movies available digitally at home and maybe even get used to it or prefer it after all of this, now that that's been an option. And it's interesting to see what's happening with the different streaming platforms. Like Disney having their own streaming platform is at a huge advantage to release things digitally as opposed to, say, like Wonder Woman 84, which would you sell it to Netflix? Like, how would one go about doing that? And I agree, they'd make way more money with a big box office theater release than they would that way. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, I have a feeling we're going to get a lot of mid-level budget movies. We're not going to see the big budgets anymore. And it's kind of great, hopefully, for indies where it's like they'll have more of a chance to have their films made because, you know, it's going to cost less money. And I think a lot of these ideas are going to have to start branching out to see what they can do with very little.
Yeah. And Octavius in chat says, I can't remember, but how much was it to rent a movie back in the Blockbuster days? No, it was like $4, wasn't it?
A new release for me, $6.
Oh, well, okay, but still not like 20 like it is online.
But one night. You had to return it the next day.
See, it was cheaper, but you got to look around, and if you wanted to change your mind, if you got an older movie, it was cheaper. I was at an age where I didn't care how much it was because I wasn't aware of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. I dated a boy that worked at the Blockbuster, so my rentals were free.
What a perk.
Oh my gosh. Now we do have another question from a Twitch viewer, Predrazer. I'm curious, has Maude or Trish watched any of Altered Carbon? If so, thoughts?
I watched, I think, 3/4 of the first episode when it first came out because I thought I would have liked the concept, and I did. I got kind of Matrixy vibes from it all because you can just like upload yourself into a new body. I don't know why I didn't continue with it. I came out like 2017, and I just stopped.
I kind of did the same thing, Maude. I watched like the first couple episodes and then moved on to something else, but not because I disliked it. I liked it. It just, for whatever reason, there were other things I currently at the time liked more. But Altered Carbon is still to this day one of those series that I'm like, I'll get back into that at some point.
I mean, now's the time. But you and I, you know, as far as it goes having spare time, you and I are two people that don't have too much of it.
That's very true. That is very, very true. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Power Up and getting all your good watching recs.
Yes, make sure you leave comments below. What are you watching right now? What recommendations have you got? Have you watched either of the things that Trisha and I have mentioned? If you've got any questions, make sure you catch this show live or you swing by Geek Bomb's Patreon and drop your questions down there for us to answer.